Cash here with this week's episode of Random Destinations. For this week, we are going to a destination that we frankly never wanted to do one on. It was one we were just going to ignore and had no intention of filming one. But after the national attention brought on by Memorial Day weekend, we felt compelled to do an episode, so this is it. Welcome to the Lake of the Ozarks. And right off the top, I'd have to say the national news on Blackwater Jacks is exactly the type of press and the reasons why we had chose not to do an episode on the Lake of the Ozarks. So this is a place with a unique history, but as far as a tourist destination for somebody my age, no, don't come here. And I'm not saying that because I care. We're into what we call lake lizard season. And it's absolutely the worst time of the year to live here. Now, having said all that, I do have a video here. It's long, and to be real honest, after about 5 minutes, if you're bored with it, turn it off because it's not exciting. We've gone, the video will cover the Lake of the Ozarks, some of the development issues and the history of it, and the businesses here. But you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a place that really gets an F, and it deserves an F. And it's been getting an F for the last 75 years since they made the lake. And that's why we may live here, but we don't support this place. We don't shop locally. We don't have doctors here. We drive about an hour to our doctors. There is a hospital here. We won't go to it. We've known too many people who've gone in and came out directly to the morgue. Just not going to go there. We don't go to the local resorts. We don't pay for bad food. We don't pay 3 times what bad food should cost. And we don't go to the lake. So we just, we live here because we like the weather. So with that being said, I can feel a tick walking down the back of my neck. So I'm going to stop right here and let's just take a look at the Lake of the Ozarks. I guarantee you next week's episode will be better because we're going someplace that I really like. So until next week, watch what you can and then turn it off. Good enough with me. And we're going to take the first exit here, which will put us on what used to be Highway 54 until they built the bypass around it. So this is what we're coming up onto is what used to be the strip. It used to be packed with cars, bumper to bumper, all the time. The shops were all full, and everybody complained about how long it took to get from point A to point B. So after 15 or 20 years of bitching about it, the state finally came out and built this really fine bypass around Osage Beach, and what we got is a blighted, going out of business town now that's in a hurry to put up a sign that says, "Come visit historic downtown Osage Beach." Because what the people found out, which is what every little town has found out when they finally get their bypass, is that they weren't destinations to anybody. They just happened to do a lot of business because people got tired of sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic for an hour and said, "Hey, let's stop here and get a hot dog, or let's get some pizza, or let's get a beer." And they mistook that as meaning they had a lot of business. And they really didn't once people had a choice. And now this is about as much traffic as you'll ever see on this road. This used to be restaurants and shops and attractions. And now it's pretty much nothing. This is turning into an industrial part of town, even though there's no industry in Osage Beach to speak of, because it's basically just a tourist destination. So we'll just go down and look. They did a nice job on this, though. I mean, just before they abandoned this road and left it to turn to this, they did have it in nice shape. They got lots of street lights and nice wide areas, and about every block and a half there used to be a cop running radar so he could give you a ticket for going 47 miles an hour. Now I'm not sure what they did with most of the police department. I suspect they laid a lot of them off. Although some of them are still here running speed traps on US 54, there just isn't a much call for it anymore. There are a few places like the landing here that seems to survive, and that just kind of defies logic, because while it's a pretty little area, it's never open on Sundays, and you would think during tourist season that would be a big day for you, but for whatever reason they're always closed. They have a little music theater in there. There's always seems to be crowds there, but I don't know how they stay in business, to be real honest. They're quite overpriced, like a lot of places are here at the lake. The lake has a history of, to be brutally honest, ripping off tourists. I mean, that's what they're here. You're going to find within a 15-mile radius of where we're at right now, there are over 175 bars and restaurants. And out of those 175 bars and restaurants, there's maybe 5 that are good, and 0 that aren't overpriced. Now, the one good thing about living here is when you go on a cruise ship, if you can go on a cruise ship, when you can go on a cruise ship, first thing you're going to say to yourself is, damn, these drinks are cheap. Well, they're not, but compared to what you pay here, they are. And they don't seem to have any remorse whatsoever. It's just, this place has just been forever on pure greed. I can't say anything good about it. We've lived here 15 years. And as I mentioned earlier, we only live here for one reason. We like the weather. We could care less about the lake. They could pull the plug on it and drain it if they wanted. Wouldn't impact our life at all. We don't do much shopping here locally, mainly because whatever you're going to buy, you're going to pay twice as much for than if you drove an hour to a real city and just bought it somewhere else or bought it online, which I personally do a lot of shopping online. But at one time or another in the last 15 years, all these places have been something else. Restaurants seem to last about a year or two, maybe 3, and then they go belly up, and then somebody else comes in. But the biggest problem they have here is none of these restaurants and businesses really are destinations, and that's what's killed them. Nobody ever said, let's hop in the car and go to Pizza Hut down here. No, people would drive by and go, well, hey, there's a Pizza Hut. Let's just stop and get something to eat. And that's why you see all these places out of business now. They thought they were destinations, but in fact, they really weren't. Well, we're going to come up here. We just passed the state park, which is one of the prettier parts of the lake. And we're going to go down and go across the Grand Clays Bridge. To the right is the state park, and to the left is the main channel of the lake. There are lots and lots of condominiums on this lake. This lake is a privately owned lake. It's owned by the electric utility, Ameren, Missouri. It was built back in the 30s to generate power. As a result, it's not operated and maintained by the Corps of Engineers like most lakes are. And that's what you see here is a lot of what I would refer to as visually blighted. Lots and lots of development, lots of people, lots of homes, lots of condos, lots of bars, lots of resorts. Just not particularly scenic, at least not at this end of the lake. However, this lake is about 100 miles long from dam to the other end of the lake, which really, the other end of the lake starts at the discharge of Truman Dam, which is off of, it's about 50, 60 miles from here, as the crow flies. And it was built for flood control. We're going to go back onto the parkway here. The year-round population here in Osage Beach, or Pixley as I call it, because I don't know if it's any bigger, but it's the nicer of the two. Camdenton is the other one, the county seat. There's a big outlet mall here. Up until last year, it was called the Osage Beach Premium Outlet Mall, and now you notice they've painted over the word premium. They've sold it, and it's about to go out of business mall. It's been a factory outlet mall, only in name. Everything in there is overpriced. But they do quite a business, mainly ripping off tourists. Like I say, they are really good at it. And they don't try to hide it. Well, they call it family fun, but it's not family oriented, and it's not fun. If you're between the ages of 18 and 40 and a male with too much testosterone and not enough active brain cells, this is a great place to come and party. If you're a family, to be real honest, I'd pass on the Lake of the Ozarks and I'd go down to Branson. Branson has much better restaurants, it has much better entertainment, it has much better shopping, and it's a much prettier lake. It's a Corps of Engineers lake, and I will probably, after this episode, go down and film an episode in Branson, because even though we live here, I prefer Branson and Table Rock Lake way over Lake of the Ozarks. We do have just about everything you'd want in a town of about probably 35 to 40,000, you would think, but in the summer the population here can get up into the, well, I'm sure into the 30,000 on a weekend, maybe 100,000 on a weekend. We have Home Depot, we have Lowe's, we have a Menards hardware store, we have 2 Walmarts, a Target, we have 2 high-end or 3 high-end grocery stores, and another 3 or 4 second-tier grocery stores. We have a Kohl's, movie theaters. There is, considering the year-round population of Osage Beach, I think is around 5,000. There is a lot of places you can go. My wife and I don't go to them. To be real honest, we drive to Columbia, or we drive to Springfield, or we drive to Jefferson City and do the bulk of our local shopping there. We just prefer it to shopping here. And again, you come back and say, well, why do you live here? Well, only one reason. We love the weather. It's the reason we bought here. It's the reason we stay here. Just when you get tired of 90-degree weather, summer's over and all the lake lizards here go home. And then you're back to 3 or 4 cars on the road at a time. And then you get fall and you get the winter. And you get people making illegal left turns. So that's it. I mean, we like it here simply because of the weather. And that's the only reason we didn't move to Branson. Branson has a little worse traffic, although they have mitigated the traffic issues considerably over the last 25 years. But it is about 5 degrees warmer, and my wife and I enjoy the snow, and we enjoy the sleet and freezing rain. We can enjoy that stuff because we don't have to go out in it. We have our generator, and we have the studio there, and we have our 5 acres of woods, and we're quite content. This is the time of year that we simply cocoon and don't go out. Now, as I may have mentioned, Lake of the Ozarks is what I refer to as a regional resort. And the reason for that is it draws primarily visitors from St. Louis, Kansas City, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, a few from Oklahoma, some from Illinois. But to be real honest, if you've ever been to Iowa, Nebraska, or Kansas, well, you'd think this would be a great place to come for a vacation anyway, because I've been to all three of those states and there's absolutely nothing to see in them unless you want to see feedlots and meat packing plants and corn and windmills, and of course the giant garden gnome in Nebraska. But once you've seen all that, well, the rest of the state pretty much sucks. So I can understand why everybody comes down here and gets wild. But that doesn't mean this is a better place at all as a whole. It just means it's better than the rotten place where you live. I think over the last 15 years, we have seen every chain, restaurant, hotel, come and go. They have changed hands about every 2 years. This place up here we're about to pass used to be a Denny's. It used to be a Holiday Inn. Now it's a Quality Inn. It was something else in between the Holiday Inn and Quality Inn. You name a chain that's gone belly up nationwide, and it's been here. Homes on the Lake of the Ozarks, if you're getting waterfront, you're hard-pressed to find anything on the lake that you'd want to live in for under, I don't know, $200,000. And they go all the way up into the multi-million-dollar ones. Most of the people that are buying those are people that have come from Southern California and sold their home for $1.7 million, and then are kind of upset that instead of having 1,500 square feet worth $1.7 million, they now have 6,000 square foot house they don't want that only paid $370,000 for. So it's pricey, and there's lots of rules on living on this lake, what you can and can't do. It's regulated again by the utility that owns it, and you pay very high taxes for living on the lake. We're going to go down here and go through what's the area known as the Strip. It's the original entertainment district for the Lake of the Ozarks, and it sits right next to Bagnell Dam. We're going to go across the dam. Mainly right now it's bars and restaurants, and some of the restaurants are very good. There aren't a lot of them down here, but the ones that are good, there are 2 or 3 down here that do have very good food. Again, they suffer from the if you don't mind paying twice what you'd pay in any other town for it, then it's fine.